This video is entitled, "Is Milk Necessary for Health?" Many people have asked my opinion on this subject, and the answer is yes if you're an infant and no if you're an adult. So why is the answer yes for infants, no for adults? Human beings are mammals, and like all other mammals, we produce milk to feed our offspring. Now in the wild, after animals are weaned, they no longer get milk. They eat other foods and they're perfectly healthy. So for that reason, I believe that human beings do not need milk after they're weaned either. Now let's say human beings are special and unique, and we did need milk. No other species in the wild drinks another species' milk. You don't see a baby tiger go and nurse off the mother lion. You don't see a baby zebra go over to the mother giraffe. So if we did need milk our whole lives, we would need human milk and not cow's milk or goat's milk or any other type of milk. Now, having established that we don't need milk in our diets in order to be healthy, I do personally consume milk. I'd like to share with you some guidelines that I follow. Now, the first thing to consider if you're going to consume milk is, does your body tolerate it well? Now, I can drink a half a gallon of milk and have completely fine digestion and suffer no ill effects. Now, some people when they consume milk have a lot of digestive distress. And one of the reasons for that is lactose intolerance. Our bodies produce an enzyme called lactase, which helps us digest the sugar in milk, which is called lactose. Now, as people age, many people lose the ability to produce lactase to digest the sugar in milk. Some people argue that that shows that we're not meant to keep consuming milk because we lose that ability as we get older. That may be correct. In my case, I do not have a problem with it. If you are lactose intolerant, and if I was lactose intolerant, I would just avoid milk. It's that simple. Another thing to consider is whether or not your body digests and assimilates the protein in milk properly. Now again, I have no problems with this, so I can drink milk and I handle the proteins fine. Some people do not digest and assimilate the proteins well in milk. I believe this does not indicate there's a problem with the protein in milk so much as perhaps that person's digestive system is compromised in some way. Maybe they have leaky gut syndrome. This is similar to the situation with gluten. There's nothing wrong with gluten, it's just a protein in plant food, but some people have problems digesting and assimilating it. So just as you would avoid gluten if you have problems with that protein, I would also recommend the easiest thing to do is just avoid milk if milk proteins give you a problem. Because as we've already established, you don't need milk in your diet to be healthy. Now, how does milk affect weight gain and weight loss? When I want to gain weight, and in my case, when I'm trying to gain weight, I'm trying to gain muscle, I find that milk can be beneficial for that purpose. Milk is a liquid, so it's easily assimilated, and milk is designed to help a baby grow to its full potential. So milk has a lot of nutrition in it, as well as anabolic factors, which help us gain muscle tissue. So for that reason, milk is effective and beneficial. Now, what about weight loss? Now, in my case, weight loss translates into losing body fat. When I'm trying to lose body fat, I don't consume milk. As I just stated, milk is a liquid, so the calories are easily assimilated, which means it tends to be better for gaining than losing. Now, having said that, you can lose body fat on any kind of food if you consume a small enough amount of it. But I'm looking for maximum fat loss, and I don't consume any foods that don't support the most rapid fat loss possible. And for that reason, I cut milk out of my diet when I'm trying to lean out. Now, at this point in my life, I only consume milk from grass-fed animals. For a 15-year period of my life, I consumed no milk. And I stopped drinking milk because I noticed that when I drank milk, I got congestion, mucus, phlegm, etc. Now, a couple of years ago, I did an experiment where I was consuming 1 to 2 gallons of milk a week. Now, the milk was organic and only from grass-fed animals. During that 2-year period, I experience no mucus, no congestion, nothing. So why is that? Well, I'm speculating that the milk that I consumed prior to that in my youth was from cows that were eating a lot of corn. Now, if you let a cow out into the wild, they don't walk around saying, "Where's the corn?" They just start eating grass. When animals are grass-fed, there's higher levels of omega-3 fatty acids in ratio to omega-6 fatty acids in the milk and or even the meat if you're eating the meat. Omega-3 fatty acids tend to help reduce inflammation in the body. So I'm speculating that perhaps I was getting an inflammatory response from cows eating a lot of corn and having high omega-6 and low omega-3 fatty acids, and that inflammation was resulting in the mucus and the congestion. Now, what about raw milk? There's a big controversy about that. First of all breast milk is raw. The milk coming out of the mother that the baby gets is raw. It's not pasteurized. The milk that animals get in the wild is raw. Okay, I grew up drinking a lot of raw milk because I lived in a rural area and there were farms around, and we milked the cows and the goats and the different animals, and we just drank the milk. So if the animals are healthy and you're careful to clean the udder and make sure there's no contaminants getting into the milk in the milking process, I believe raw milk is the best form of milk to consume. Now, having said that, in our modern day, we have milk that comes from thousands of cows. The process is more hurried, and there's more chance there can be contamination. So that is a valid reason for pasteurization. Now, having said what I just said, I don't currently consume raw milk. Not because I don't think it's good, just because I do not have a source of raw milk where I know the health of the animals and I know the cleanliness of the production facility. So I opt for low heat pasteurization. I find milk products that are pasteurized at the lowest heat allowed by law, which preserves as much of the natural nutrition as possible. Now, because of the controversy surrounding raw milk, I don't recommend raw milk to people. If you're interested in raw milk, check the laws in your state and make an informed decision. What about homogenization? I only drink non-homogenized milk. I want my milk as close to nature as possible. Homogenization is a process they put milk through which causes the particle size of the fat to be reduced. That keeps the fat suspended evenly in the milk so you don't get the cream rising to the top. I personally feel that's one more step away from the natural state of milk, and so I personally stick with non-homogenized products. Last, I learned in my youth that you can raise healthy animals and produce healthy milk without the use of antibiotics or synthetic hormones. I believe milk produced without these substances is more healthful. For that reason, I only drink organic milk from grass-fed animals that are not treated with antibiotics or synthetic hormones. In conclusion, there's a lot of controversy surrounding milk. Some people say milk is necessary for good nutrition and healthful. Others say it's unnecessary and unhealthful. I believe milk is not necessary for proper adult nutrition. However, I enjoy milk and occasionally include it in my diet. As with any healthcare decision, consult with your professional healthcare provider before deciding what's right for you. I'm Jeff Riley for Fitness Innovations.